Emma Stone just won the Oscar for Best Actress for playing Bella Baxter in a movie called Poor Things. And I've mentioned this movie on the show before to explain why I find its premise and plot so utterly disturbing and disgusting. But we'll have to get into it again because Evie Magazine was just reporting Poor Things, starring Emma Stone, faces backlash for its strange and disturbing kiddie porn plot.
It is a kiddie porn plot. It's very bizarre.
I wholly agree with that evaluation, but every time that people criticize Poor Things or a number of other movies for similar reasons, the chorus in response is that you have no media literacy and you just don't understand art and you are a Philistine for not understanding why this is actually high art. But before we get into the responses, I wanted to explain the premise for those of you who thankfully didn't watch it. So this is based on a 1992 novel by Alistair Gray. And I'm going to read from the description of it. Poor Things is a postmodern revision of Frankenstein that replaces the traditional monster with Bella Baxter, a beautiful young erotomaniac brought back to life with the brain of an infant. Godwin Baxter's scientific ambition to create the perfect companion is realized when he finds the drowned body of Bella Baxter, but his dream is thwarted by Dr. Archibald McCandless's jealous love for Baxter's creation. This says Poor Things is a hilarious political allegory and a thought-provoking duel between the desires of men and the independence of women. So let's go into a little more detail. The movie plot is basically Emma Stone's character attempts to kill herself, and she happens to be...
she jumps off a bridge.
She happens to be pregnant when she does this. She jumps off a bridge, and she's pregnant. And this doctor, Godwin Baxter, finds her body, and he saves her life, technically, by transplanting the brain of her unborn baby into her skull. So with the body of an adult and the brain of a newborn baby, she does what all newborns do. She becomes a nymphomaniac and a prostitute, of course. There are graphic sex scenes between Emma Stone, playing a baby who can barely talk or walk, and Mark Ruffalo, the commie Disney star. Someone said, I forget, can newborns consent to sex? If they're smoking hot babes, they can. The movie is marketed as a comedy. How dare you think this sounds like a thinly veiled pedo porn, you Philistine? This is high art. And that's been the response. That's been the counter argument this whole time.
Yeah, it has been. And this, I mean, in you know, in the terms of like 25 years ago, this was definitely an art house film. Mm-hmm. This is not a film that you would have seen at the Oscars. It's not a film that would have gotten written up all over the place. It would have been like, you know, at one of the little downtown movie houses, you know, at the Angelica or something downtown.
Makes these types of movies far more
it makes them
available.
Well, the amount of star power and the amount of budget and the amount of marketing that has been dedicated to this is what's specifically alarming.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like movies that are made in this kind of area or this kind of genre have been made before, but not as critically celebrated.
No, it's not a film that I think should be achieving those upper echelons. But it also kind of lays bare the foundational ideas of what's going on in Hollywood. They really love this film. You know, they at the Oscars, they were like celebrating Emma Stone. They were talking about how great it is. They talk about how it's about like women's freedom. And what it really is about a woman being entirely entrapped in a, you know, in this man's world, in this man's fantasy. And that it's sort of gross. You know what I mean? It's just sort of a really gross concept. And the idea that like you could take that the epitome of womanhood, according to Hollywood, is to take a toddler's brain and put it in the body of, yes, a hot girl, and then film her having sex with people. This is the epitome of Hollywood. So it's sort of like, you can be mad about it, but it's also everything that we've been saying this whole time. This is a corrupt industry with absolutely no moral value, with absolutely no real artistic value. Aesthetically, right? Like the costumes are interesting and bizarre. The colors are interesting. It's intriguing to look at. And that's really what will draw people in, is like all of the artistry surrounding it. Mm-hmm. But the concept is absolutely profane and disgusting. And so is the entire Hollywood machine. If you contrast something like this to Cabrini, which is the latest film from Angel Studios, which is also extremely artistically done. It's very aesthetically pleasing. The colors are gorgeous. The set is gorgeous. And you find yourself drawn into a story about, instead, a very powerful, a very strong woman who is in America. She has to learn English. She doesn't know it. So to a certain extent, she also is entering a world where she is unfamiliar and has to learn things. And she becomes, she's there to help people, and she achieves really great things. It's sort of it's a wild contrast to me to see these two things, and the one being celebrated for, essentially creating a pleasure-seeking hot girl with absolutely no moral compunction or sense of self other than pleasure. Mm-hmm. And then you have, Cabrini, which is about this woman who is very high-minded and disciplined and works really hard and saves hundreds and hundreds of people.
Right. Yeah. And you know what Hollywood is going to promote and what they're going to praise and actually literally give award to.
An award to this. Yeah.
Making a movie like that is a lot harder today unless you have the help of somebody like a Mark Wahlberg who made Father Stu. Mm-hmm. You have to have his type of name and his type of financing behind it to be able to get that to theaters. And even that got released, on Good Friday, and wasn't really as wide of a release as a lot of other movies, right? It's not going to get the same treatment. So without the name, the names backing it.
Well, but I think that we do see an artistic movement kind of building that is rejecting these postmodernist ideas, rejecting this classification of human beings, and we're seeing it come out. I'm kind of excited about it. To see more of this, and we don't have to watch Poor Things.
We got a $20 from I See All. Hello, Marion Breet. Hello, guest whose name I can't recall right now. Here's a sweet 20 for the extremely hard work that you guys do. Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it is so difficult being us. This job, I tell you, it's just, sometimes I wonder how the hell I do it.
It almost brings me to tears.
Oh, my goodness.
I wanted to read some of the takes about Poor Things and show how stupid they are. They didn't understand Poor Things. Seriously insane that one of the most risky and actually nuanced feminism in a modern mainstream movie is talked down upon in favor of commercialized basic stuff like Barbie. How about neither?
I was just saying, like, maybe Libby's right. Maybe Cabrini is supposed to be that middle ground there, but it's just not going to reach a wide audience.
I saw it on a movie, where they put up the names of the movies, downtown in some little towns in Massachusetts. I was
it's
like,
getting a
check
pretty
it out.
wide
There it
release
is.
for something with a small studio. But, how about, discard Barbie, the commercialized feminism, and we're also going to discard your art house nuance feminism that is essentially just pedophilia. How about neither? Mm-hmm. I don't have to accept either of these products because that's what they are. They're products.
And both of those products are actually just about the female sexualized body.
Well, how do you make that argument for Barbie? I didn't feel like anything was over-sexualized about that movie.
The end of the movie, she goes to a gynecologist, and that's her power moment.
That was a really bizarre detail that they added because it felt totally out of congruence with the rest of the movie. And just kind of randomly thrown in there. And I was like, what, is she getting an abortion? Like,
no, she's real now. So it's all about the vagina because she's real now.
But then at the same time, they're trying to tell us that whether or not you have a vagina has nothing to do with whether you're a woman. Right. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, they don't know either.
There's a $20 one there.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said this is from the same director of The Lobster, a movie where well-off people go to a spa and die and become their favorite animal. High art.
I mean, that could be made into a sweet, like, stoner comedy. If you
what would you want to become?
That's weird. Wesley just asked me what animal would I be this morning. I just said a cat, but that doesn't count as like an animal you would eat.
Wait, they would become the favorite animal that somebody would eat?
Well, is that the premise of the movie, right?
Like you would die and become something that gets eaten?
Oh, no, they go to a spa. It's not a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They go to a spa to die, and then they become their favorite animal. Yeah, I would be a cat.
So it was Jordan Peterson that became the lobster?
that would be iconic. I want to see that, actually. Another one said, I kind of thought the point of the film was to lean into an ambiguously feminist narrative that may or may not be anti-feminist to make people debate whether it's sincere or trolling and crowdsource viral marketing. Its evasiveness, I guess, is the entire point. Is it feminist? Is it not? The debate of whether it means anything at all.
Does that really sell to anyone? Like, men don't care about this debate.
I don't think it's feminist at all.
Men don't care about this debate.
I mean, it's new feminist, but it's not actually.
Is that even an effective way to get people to watch your movie?
No,
is just
because it's
confusing
feminist?
them?
That seems boring. The movie seems boring as well. Men
don't care about feminism, and women, for the most part, I don't know if they care about this type of feminism as far as their, escapist. Whatever money you have to spend on entertainment this week, I don't know if this is really something that a bunch of women want to watch, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I really only want to watch space movies and stoner comedies.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see this. And I think that any universe in which you put a movie or character needs to have governing principles, and every story needs to have some kind of operating thesis underneath it, or else what is the point of the story?
Would you enjoy an interview, like a chance to interview the director and ask and really like plumb his mind, like grill him about his thought process while making this movie, the director and the writer?
The director's name is Yorgos Lanthimos. Fairly confident that someone who would involve themselves in a project like this, or the person who especially wrote the original story, fairly confident that they are a sexual deviant whose aim is to sexualize children. And I'm not curious about that. There's just an empty vacuum of thought there. It's just somebody who's completely controlled by their base passions and by debauchery and deviancy. So what is there really to understand?
I don't know. I just thought maybe it'd be something, because we talk, like when we talk about a topic like this, a lot of times it would come down to the ideas like, what are they thinking, right? Like, what is a person like this thinking? And what you're saying is like, that basically is that if it's sexual deviancy, how would they put into words their description? Because that's not what they're going to say. They're not going to use those words to describe it. Well, of course,
because if you're doing something that's objectively shameful and disgusting, you of course have to rationalize it.
Is the writer of the book still alive?
No.
Alistair Gray? No,
it looks like he died in 2019.
Okay. He might have signed off on the movie getting made then.
He might have, because they made it like in 2020 in Eastern Europe or something.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.